Recording.
All right, welcome back. Doing another ride out here through Central Georgia. Today we are heading to Andersonville, National Historic Site. It is the location of the Confederate prison camp where Union soldiers were housed during the Civil War. It is now like a National Historic Site. I want to say it's a national cemetery as well. When we get out there, you guys will kind of see where the actual prison was, the camp was itself, as well as we'll ride through the actual cemetery itself. Now, the cemetery also has grave sites of veterans that weren't from the Civil War, that might be from the local area, that were buried out in this veteran cemetery. So something interesting and different to see. So we got about 32 miles until we're there, and we will we'll pick back up once we get there for that. On the side note, I'm out today on my my 2020 Road Glide Standard. So this is the bike that I purchased over in Germany through the Military Auto Source. Got this at a pretty good deal, pretty much right at MSRP, and that included a 4-year extended warranty and a couple other gifts that they give out for purchasing your motorcycle overseas. Picked it up over there in Germany, rode it around several different countries over there, similar to my other motorcycle, and yeah, anyways, out on this today. Just to tell you a little bit about some of the things that I've done on this. As you guys can see, I kind of got the color matched inner fairing here done through the fairing exchange. I got a Clockworks windshield on it. Basic stage 1 as far as slip-ons from Chromeworks, and then the Screaming Eagle, high flow intake with the tuner on it. Reason I didn't go with anything different on this one is because it is still technically under extended warranty, and I didn't want to interfere with that if I could help it, considering that it was essentially gifted to me for free. But I've got 14,000 miles on this motorcycle. Again, no concerns whatsoever. It has been fantastic. Rides great. One thing I do like about this one over my other one, it does seem a little bit smoother as far as the engine. They took a lot of, with the M8s, they took a lot of the vibration out of the motors to make it a little bit smoother. Some people say they like it, some people say they don't. I am personally a fan of it. I do enjoy it being a little bit smoother and not shaking the bike as much in low RPMs. Other things that I've kind of done to it is I've got a Saddleman road sofa seat on it, and then I also have put heated grips on this one as well. I got the Kahuna heated grips. Other than that, I haven't done really anything else to it. I just enjoy riding it. I like getting out. The power it has is significant enough that I don't really need to worry about trying to take it up significantly higher. Even getting into corners and stuff like that, this has got more than enough power than what I need. A lot of folks will take these M8s and create absolute monsters with the motors, 131s, 135s. I think I've seen a few up to like 140 something through manufacturers that weren't Harley-Davidson. So it's interesting to see how people actually do a lot of that as far as creating huge displacement engines out of something as small as like the 107 to 114 engine itself. Not that those are small, but compared to some of these other ones that they're building, they're huge. So something interesting about where we're at here in Central Georgia, like right here, you can kind of see this is an older community that has some really beautiful old homes in it. And then also you'll see probably some along this route that have some significant problems, or they've been abandoned. A lot of these houses, like here in Central Georgia, it's very rural, and there's not a lot of money down in these ways. Either people have a lot of money or they have no money, and so you guys will probably get to see a little bit of that. But I do enjoy riding down through here and kind of seeing some of these old downtown areas. It is pretty interesting and neat to see how at one point this was probably a pretty booming street down through some of these booming streets down through some of these downtown areas. But anyways, I'll turn this back on once we get a little bit closer.
Recording. A quarter mile, turn right onto Georgia 49 North.
All right, we're about 2 miles away from the historic site in Andersonville. We should see something probably coming up here pretty soon. We turn this corner, we'll see the backside of the cemetery itself. Usually, I want to say it's off this road that we'll be able to see that. But just to kind of give you a feel for what it's like out here, there is literally nothing around here. It's pretty barren out this way. Like I think the closest town is Americus, and that's probably 4 miles away or so, maybe a little bit further from here. But you know, it's very barren and rural out this way, as far as, you know, towns are concerned. So you think about it, like, even if a lot of these, you know, the soldiers at this camp did escape or whatever, you know, it's going to take them miles to get somewhere, you know, on foot, which by that time someone's going to be able to trace them down. But anyways, let's see where we're at here. By the way, the day it is March 3rd out here today. It is probably about 70 degrees. It's very nice out here. It's been raining the past couple days. The temperature dropped on Friday. Man, it was chilly. But now it's warmed back up, and hopefully we're going to see that stick around as we start rolling into spring around here. But as you can see, there's no houses, no towns or anything like that. This is kind of a little small area over here for Andersonville, but it's not much. Matter of fact, over here to the right is where the actual site and cemetery is at. I just saw the back entrance over here this way. But we'll go in through the front gate, and we'll turn it back on there.
Recording.
All right, heading into the front entrance of Andersonville. You guys can see the times over here. They do have a POW museum. I've never been in there. I may have to go check that out. I don't know if I'll have enough time today to do that, but something to probably do on a future weekend. But yeah, heading in here, you know, there's going to be nothing here for a little bit, and then we finally get back here to the site of the old camp, which will be pretty interesting to see. You'll kind of see some areas where prisoners, Union soldiers that were prisoners here, faced, you know, severe conditions out here in this camp. One of them being hygiene and the need for water. So, all right, let's go ahead and head in here. We'll go see the prison site. All right, here's some of the memorials that have been placed up here after the prison site closed by a lot of the northern states that have prisoners housed here. Massachusetts, Wisconsin, Ohio are some of the ones that I'm seeing so far. But you can see, if you look over here on the left, you can kind of see where the walls were, or what they looked like, at least down here in this prison camp. And you can kind of see it's not exactly flat ground here. They had this kind of creek bed down here that they would draw water from. But a lot of the problems here with this camp and when they had prisoners here was the fact that they would urinate and defecate into the fresh water stream, which created a lot of disease for people at the camp. These kind of white stakes right here, I think, are outlining a lot of where the actual prison camp was located. There's the deadline. So what the deadline was basically once you got close to an actual, once you got close to the wall, they had what was called the deadline, and if you pass that deadline, then ultimately you'd be shot and killed. But yeah, this entire site right here, you can see there's the deadline again right there on the left, showing the stockade line. So if they got, I mean, it looks like maybe 10-15 feet close to that wall, then they were going to be shot. We'll get up down here closer to this other wall, but you can kind of see how vast this camp was as far as the size of it. But from what I understood, it was definitely packed in there pretty tightly with a lot of northern prisoners. Stop down here at this marker and see what it says. All right, the sinks. Okay. This is the downstream end of the stockade branch, the site of the camp sinks or latrines. All right, so prisoners would get drinking water upstream and use latrines downstream. Again, that was kind of done in order to prevent a lot of the disease that they had with drinking their own, waste. So, according to the Confederates, original plan prisoners would get drinking water upstream, use it downstream. Inadvertently, the prisoner was designed for death. The stockade post slowed the drainage, and during dry spells, the creek became more swamp than flowing stream. Dysentery swept the camp, okay? And so that's what I was talking about, where a lot of them would contaminate their own water source, which kind of crappy. Definitely affected a lot of the prisoners and created a lot of death and of Union soldiers that were housed here throughout the war. Again, the white markers, stockade line is the outer line. That's where the fence would have been at. And that inner line is the dead line, showing where those prisoners would be shot and killed if they got too close to the wall. All right, so this one shows a picture that was taken in 1864 of the actual, I guess, the pigeon roost is what they would call it. Okay. So interesting. You can kind of see on that picture right there that they had a lot of like little tents and stuff set up through here, and I think down here we can kind of see a better representation of that. We'll get down here, we'll park, and then we'll walk down this way. You know what, I'm going to stop right here. This is where I'm going to kind of park the bike at. We'll walk down here, take a quick look. Okay, shebangs or prisoner shelters, that's what these kind of tents are out here. So they had to provide their own shelters, sticks and pieces of cloth that they could find. Prisoners improvised leaky tents and lean-tos. Many prisoners had no shelter at all. Man, that is terrible, especially out here central Georgia. We get a lot of rain around the springtime. All right, so protection from rain, dew, and boiling sun became a matter of life or death. That is a very true statement. Exposure aggravated many illnesses and infections and contributed to soaring mortality rate. And this is kind of a picture that was taken in 1864. Shows kind of the improvised shelters that they had out here. But yeah, you can kind of imagine, I think this inner
inner piece right here was used as representation for the dead line itself. So this is kind of where prisoners would gather and sleep, try to find refuge from the elements outside. Obviously this is not the actual, this is a representation, but you can see how close, how big that wall was. Very similar construction, and then the guard towers there. But just imagine this entire plot of land being filled with Union soldiers that were almost doomed to death once they got here. Other than that, there's not a whole lot to see out here besides, you know, this section right here, this reconstruction section of the actual camp itself. What we'll do is we'll head over to the cemetery site, and there's some interesting markers and stuff over there that I can show you.
Recording.
Okay, we're gonna head over now to the actual cemetery site. Again, it's a veterans cemetery, so there's more than just you know, dead Confederate and Union soldiers that were buried over here. It's actually let me see if I can. Is this how I get to it over here? Well, I think we may have to go all the way back around to kind of get over that way. I'll take you guys around again on another side view of the camp itself. Makes you wonder, like down here in this area where there was supposed to be water coming through in this kind of creek bed down here. I have been down here probably 4 times now, and I've never seen any water down in this creek bed. Now, I don't know if they've done something that may have you know, stop the water from coming in down here, but I can imagine out here in the hot Georgia sun, like that will dry up fairly quickly. So it just makes me wonder how much access to water that they actually had down here during this time. You know, a lot of people may wonder why the South didn't provide them with better conditions. Well, the truth is, I don't think they had many resources, especially in 1864, that they could provide to these Union soldiers down here. To kind of get them off the actual out of the elements. Okay, I think we got to turn right up here to head to the yeah. Okay, so I thought there was an entrance down to the left, but it looks like we're going right to go out here to the cemetery itself. I can tell you from living down here for the past couple years that in the summertime, it is absolutely brutal with the heat and the sun down here. So those guys living in those conditions where they're just out in the elements all the time, you know, probably a lot of that wind is blocked by the actual fencing that was put up there. It has to be terrible. I mean, that has to be, like, you would probably want to have death more than you would want to be a prisoner down here. If you guys take a look over here to the right, these are the headstones of a lot of you know, soldiers that died here as a result of being in this prison. I know there's a way to distinguish, you know, some of these headstones from Union to Confederate, because I do think they have some Confederates buried down here as well. And what we'll do, we'll pull off over here. There's kind of an interesting story to be had with some prisoners that that actually kind of turned on their fellow soldiers, and they were tried and executed for it.
Okay, so out here at the actual cemetery, I'm going to take you guys over and show you the site of the Raiders' graves. All right, so these guys were deliberately set apart, and they were buried not next to anybody else because they wanted to show just how dishonored that they were. So essentially what these guys did is, like it says right here, Raiders took $170 from Dowd. He was badly cut up, but finally got away and reached the gate. Reported to Captain Wurst, who came up with him and demanded that the robbers should be given up under penalty of no rations for 1 week. So the other soldiers were kind of forced to give them up, but we'll walk over here and I'll show you the actual grave sites of these guys. Yeah, you guys can already see over here, these 6 are not buried next to anybody else, and they did that on purpose because they didn't want to have these guys buried next to the other soldiers that were died honorably in this prison. As you can see, you know, all the headstones here, and then these 6 are just set apart. These are the folks that kind of terrorized their own people in the camp, and that's why they were buried over here to the side. Like I said, you can kind of see down here, here's some headstones of some recently deceased veterans. This is a veteran cemetery, not just a Civil War memorial or a Civil War prison site with a cemetery here. It's actually for all veterans. So they could be buried out here. I don't know if they're all from Georgia. My assumption is so. But you can see a lot of these guys recently died in 2021. There's some actually fairly recent burial sites right up here. Yeah, some of these folks just passed away here recently. So a lot of them veterans of Vietnam. Persian Gulf, Vietnam, and then some just general veterans altogether. Anyways, that's just a simple tour of Andersonville prison site and cemetery. If you're ever in Central Georgia, come out this way, come take a look. It's worth the trip. There's probably more in the museum as far as the POW MIA museum. I just have not been in there yet. I plan to do that on some other time, but kind of running out of time for today.